Anxiety doesn't care if you're scrolling through your phone at midnight or sitting in a crowded room. It finds a way to creep in, uninvited. But what if I told you that the key to reducing anxiety isn't found in the latest self-help trend or a quick fix, but in a philosophy that's been tested for over 2,000 years? Stoicism, the ancient practice embraced by emperors and thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, offers timeless tools to reclaim your peace of mind. As Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Today, we're diving into 20 Stoic techniques that you can start using right now to instantly reduce anxiety. These aren't abstract ideas, they're practical, actionable steps designed to help you take control of your thoughts and emotions, no matter what life throws your way. So, if you're ready to transform the way you handle stress and uncertainty, let's begin. What if you could let go of half your worries instantly? Sounds too good to be true, right? But this is exactly what the Stoic principle of the Dichotomy of Control offers. At its core, this technique is about understanding the difference between what we can control and what we can't. The Stoics believed that much of our anxiety comes from trying to control the uncontrollable things like other people's opinions, the weather, or even the past. As Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, put it, some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion. In a word, whatever is our own doing. Think about it. When you're stressed about a work deadline, you can control how much effort you put in, how you manage your time, and your attitude toward the task. But you can't control whether your boss will be pleased, whether the printer will jam, or if a sudden emergency will disrupt your day. By focusing only on what's within your power, you free yourself from the weight of unnecessary worry. Here's a modern example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. You can't control the traffic, but you can control how you react to it. Instead of letting frustration take over, you could use the time to prepare mentally or listen to something uplifting. This shift in focus doesn't just reduce anxiety, it empowers you to respond to life's challenges with clarity and calm. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you're worrying about right now that's completely outside your control? Recognizing this is the first step toward letting it go and reclaiming your peace of mind. Now, let's explore another powerful Stoic tool, negative visualization. At first glance, imagining worst-case scenarios might sound counterintuitive. Why would anyone want to dwell on the bad things that could happen? But this technique, practiced by Stoic philosophers like Seneca, is actually a profound way to build resilience and reduce anxiety. Seneca, one of the wealthiest and most influential men in ancient Rome, regularly used this method to prepare himself for life's uncertainties. He would imagine losing his wealth, his status, even his life, not to dwell in fear, but to remind himself that he could endure whatever came his way. As he famously wrote, "He who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Negative visualization works because it confronts the fear of the unknown head-on. When we imagine the worst, we realize that even in those scenarios, we have the capacity to adapt, to survive, and even to thrive. It's not about pessimism, it's about preparation. By mentally rehearsing challenges, we strip them of their power to shock or overwhelm us. And here's the unexpected bonus. This practice also fosters gratitude. When you imagine losing something, your job, your health, a relationship, you suddenly appreciate what you have right now in a deeper way. Let's make this practical. Picture this: you're having a terrible day at work. Your presentation didn't go as planned, your boss is frustrated, and you feel like you're falling behind. Now take a moment to imagine the absolute worst-case scenario. You lose your job. What would you do next? How would you handle it? Would you crumble, or would you find a way to move forward? By visualizing this, you're not only preparing yourself emotionally, but also creating a mental roadmap for resilience. You're reminding yourself that even in the face of failure, you have options and you can rebuild. So here's a question to reflect on. What's your worst fear? Not the vague, abstract kind, but something specific, something that keeps you up at night. Now imagine it happening. How would you respond? What steps would you take? By engaging with this exercise, you're not inviting disaster. You're building the mental strength to face it if it ever comes. And in the process, you might just find yourself feeling a little more grateful for the life you have right now. Your morning set the tone for your entire day. Think about it. How you start your day often determines how the rest of it unfolds. The Stoics understood this deeply, which is why they placed such importance on morning reflection. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, began each day with a simple yet profound practice. He would remind himself, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. This wasn't just poetic musing. It was a deliberate way to ground himself in gratitude and purpose before stepping into the chaos of the world. Morning reflection, as the Stoics practiced it, is about more than just setting intentions. It's about preparing for the inevitable challenges of the day. By anticipating obstacles, you're not inviting anxiety, you're disarming it. Imagine walking into your day already knowing how you'll handle a difficult conversation, a tight deadline, or even a moment of self-doubt. That's the power of this technique. It's like having a mental game plan before the game even starts. Here's how you can put this into practice. Take 5 minutes each morning to write down 3 potential challenges you might face that day. It could be anything: a tough meeting, a personal goal you're struggling with, or even a habit you're trying to break. Then, next to each challenge, jot down how you'll respond. Will you stay calm? Will you remind yourself of your values? Will you take a deep breath and focus on what you can control? This simple act of preparation doesn't just reduce anxiety, it builds confidence. You're no longer reacting to life, you're meeting it head-on. Let's make this real with an example. Say you've been dreading a conversation with a coworker who tends to be critical. Instead of letting that anxiety simmer all day, you take a moment in the morning to visualize the conversation. You remind yourself that their opinion is outside your control, but your response isn't. You decide to stay calm, listen actively, and focus on finding a solution rather than defending yourself. By the time the conversation happens, you're not caught off guard, you're ready. So here's a question to carry with you. What's one challenge you can prepare for tomorrow? It doesn't have to be monumental. Even small obstacles, when anticipated, lose their power to disrupt your peace. By starting your day with this Stoic practice, you're not just reducing anxiety, you're reclaiming your ability to navigate life with intention and resilience. And who knows, you might just find that your mornings become your most powerful moments of the day. How often do you truly reflect on your day? Most of us fall into bed exhausted, scrolling through our phones or replaying the day's frustrations in our minds. But what if, instead of letting those thoughts swirl aimlessly, you could turn them into a tool for growth and calm? This is where the Stoic practice of evening review comes in, a powerful habit that helps you process emotions, learn from your experiences, and reduce lingering anxiety. As Epictetus wisely said, no man is free who is not master of himself. And self-mastery begins with self-examination. The evening review is more than just a recap of your day. It's a deliberate practice of reflecting on your actions, decisions, and emotions. The Stoics believed that by examining your day, you could identify patterns, recognize areas for improvement, and celebrate small victories. This isn't about self-criticism, it's about self-awareness. When you take the time to reflect, you create a mental space to let go of what's weighing on you and prepare for a more intentional tomorrow. Here's how you can start your own evening review. First, find a quiet moment before bed. Just 5 to 10 minutes will do. Begin by asking yourself 3 simple questions. What went well today? What could I have handled better? And what did I learn? Let's break this down. When you ask what went well, you're training your mind to focus on the positive, no matter how small. Maybe you stayed calm during a stressful moment, or you took a step toward a personal goal. Acknowledging these wins builds confidence and gratitude. Next, consider what could have been handled better. This isn't about beating yourself up, it's about growth. Did you lose your temper? Did you procrastinate on an important task? By identifying these moments, you're not dwelling on failure. You're creating a roadmap for improvement. Finally, ask yourself what you learned. Every day, whether good or bad, offers lessons. Maybe you discovered a new way to manage your time, or you realized that a certain habit is holding you back. These insights are the building blocks of progress. Let's make this real with an example. Imagine you had a tough conversation with a friend today. During your evening review, you might reflect on how you handled it. Did you listen actively, or did you let your emotions take over? If you could go back, what would you do differently? By asking these questions, you're not just processing the event, you're preparing yourself to handle similar situations better in the future. So here's a challenge for you. Tonight, before you go to sleep, take a few minutes to reflect on your day. What's one thing you could have handled better? And more importantly, what's one thing you're proud of? This simple practice doesn't just reduce anxiety, it helps you grow one day at a time, and who knows? Over time, you might find that these quiet moments of reflection become the most valuable part of your day. Have you ever found yourself spiraling over a text message? Maybe someone sent you something vague, and within minutes you've crafted an entire story in your head about what it must mean. Your heart races, your thoughts race faster, and before you know it, you're consumed by anxiety over something that might not even be real. This is where the Stoic practice of cognitive detachment comes in, a powerful tool to help you separate your emotions from the events that trigger them. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. Cognitive detachment isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about creating a mental space between what happens and how you respond. Think of it like this: your emotions are clouds passing through the sky, and you're the sky itself. The clouds come and go, but the sky remains unchanged. By observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment, you take away their power to control you. This shift in perspective doesn't just reduce anxiety, it gives you the clarity to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Here's a simple exercise to practice cognitive detachment. The next time you feel a strong emotion, pause and label it. For example, if you're feeling angry, say to yourself, "I'm noticing anger." If you're anxious, say, "I'm noticing anxiety." This act of labeling creates distance between you and the emotion, allowing you to see it for what it is, a temporary state, not a permanent truth. It's like stepping back from a painting to see the whole picture instead of getting lost in the brushstrokes. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague makes a comment that feels dismissive. Your first instinct might be to feel hurt or defensive. But instead of reacting immediately, you pause and label the emotion. "I'm noticing frustration." This simple act gives you a moment to breathe and consider, is this comment really about me, or is it a reflection of their own stress or insecurity? By detaching from the initial emotional charge, you create space to respond with intention rather than react with emotion. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one situation in your life where you could practice cognitive detachment? Maybe it's a recurring argument with a loved one, a stressful work deadline, or even the way you react to social media. By applying this Stoic technique, you're not just reducing anxiety, you're reclaiming your power to choose how you engage with the world. And that's a skill worth cultivating. How much of your anxiety comes from worrying about the future? If you're like most people, the answer is probably a lot. We spend so much time imagining what might go wrong tomorrow, next week, or even years from now that we forget to fully experience the moment we're in. The Stoics understood this tendency all too well, and they offered a powerful antidote: the practice of focusing on the present moment. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, put it this way: the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what lies in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. In other words, when we fixate on the future, we give up the one thing we truly have: the present. This idea might sound familiar if you've explored mindfulness, and that's no coincidence. Stoicism and mindfulness share a common thread: the belief that peace comes from anchoring yourself in the here and now. The Stoics didn't just preach this idea, they lived it. They knew that the present moment is the only place where we can take action, make choices, and truly live. Everything else, the past and the future, exists only in our mind. By focusing on the present, we strip away the layers of worry and regret that fuel anxiety. Here's a simple exercise to bring this principle to life. Take a moment to focus on your breath. Close your eyes if you can and notice the sensation of air moving in and out of your body. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, the coolness as you inhale, the warmth as you exhale. If your mind starts to wander, and it will gently bring your attention back to your breath. This isn't just a relaxation technique, it's a way to train your mind to stay grounded in the present. Each time you return to your breath, you're practicing the Stoic art of focusing on what's real and immediate, rather than getting lost in what's uncertain or out of your control. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're sitting at your desk, overwhelmed by a mountain of tasks. Your mind races with thoughts about deadlines, meetings, and everything that could go wrong. Instead of letting that spiral continue, pause and bring your attention to one small, manageable task. Maybe it's drafting an email, organizing your workspace, or simply taking a sip of water. By narrowing your focus to this one thing, you're not just reducing anxiety, you're reclaiming your ability to act with clarity and purpose. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you can fully focus on right now? It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. It could be as simple as savoring your morning coffee, listening intently to a friend, or feeling the sun on your skin. When you anchor yourself in the present, you're not just reducing anxiety, you're rediscovering the richness of life as it happens, moment by moment. And that's a gift no amount of worrying about the future can ever take away. What if I told you that seeking out discomfort could actually make your life easier? It sounds counterintuitive, but this is the heart of the Stoic practice known as voluntary discomfort. The Stoics believed that by willingly facing small hardships, we could prepare ourselves for life's inevitable challenges and reduce our fear of the unknown. Take Cato the Younger, a Roman statesman and Stoic philosopher, as an example. Despite his wealth and status, Cato chose to live simply, wearing plain clothing, walking barefoot in the rain, and eating modest meals. Why? Because he understood that comfort can make us soft, while discomfort builds resilience. As Epictetus put it, difficulties are things that show what men are. By embracing discomfort, we not only strengthen our ability to endure, but also cultivate a deeper appreciation for the comforts we often take for granted. So, how does this translate to modern life? Let's start with something as simple as a cold shower. It might sound unpleasant, but stepping into that icy water is a small act of voluntary discomfort. It's a reminder that you can handle discomfort, that you're stronger than you think. And here's the surprising part. When you willingly face small challenges like this, the bigger ones, like a stressful job interview or a difficult conversation, start to feel less intimidating. You've already proven to yourself that you can endure and adapt. But voluntary discomfort isn't just about physical challenges. It can also mean stepping out of your comfort zone in other ways, like having an honest conversation you've been avoiding or tackling a task you've been procrastinating on. The key is to choose discomforts that are manageable but meaningful. They should stretch you, not break you. And when you face them, you're not just building resilience, you're also fostering gratitude. Suddenly, that warm bed or that supportive friend feels like a gift, not something you're entitled to. Here's a question to reflect on. What's one small discomfort you can embrace today? Maybe it's turning off the heater for an hour, skipping dessert, or even just sitting with a difficult emotion instead of distracting yourself. The goal isn't to punish yourself, it's to remind yourself that you're capable of more than you think. By practicing voluntary discomfort, you're not just reducing anxiety, you're building a life of strength, gratitude, and unshakable resilience. And that's a skill worth cultivating, one small challenge at a time. Writing is a mirror for the soul, a way to see your thoughts and emotions clearly, without the noise of the world clouding your vision. The Stoics understood this deeply, which is why journaling was a cornerstone of their practice. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most famous Stoic philosophers, kept a personal journal that later became known as Meditations. In it, he wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you ever dig." For Marcus, journaling wasn't just a habit, it was a tool for self-discovery, clarity, and peace. Journaling works because it gives your mind a place to unload. Think of it like this: your brain is like a cluttered desk piled high with unfinished tasks, worries, and ideas. When you write, you're clearing that desk one thought at a time. You're taking what's swirling in your head and putting it on paper where you can see it, process it, and let it go. This act of externalizing your thoughts doesn't just reduce mental clutter, it also helps you see patterns, identify what truly matters, and release what doesn't. It's like having a conversation with yourself, one that brings clarity and calm. Here's a simple way to start. Grab a notebook or open a blank document and ask yourself, what's weighing on my mind? Don't overthink it, just write whatever comes up. Maybe it's a problem at work, a relationship that's been on your mind, or even a vague sense of unease you can't quite put into words. The goal isn't to find solutions right away, it's to get your thoughts out of your head and onto the page. Once they're there, you can begin to untangle them, one sentence at a time. Let's make this real with an example. Imagine you've been feeling overwhelmed by a project at work. Instead of letting that stress build up, you sit down and write about it. You describe the deadlines, the pressure, and the fear of not meeting expectations. As you write, you start to notice something. The fear isn't just about the project, it's about your own self-doubt. By putting it into words, you've uncovered a deeper layer of what's really bothering you. And now that you see it, you can begin to address it. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you need to write about today? It doesn't have to be profound or polished. It could be a frustration, a dream, or even a question you've been avoiding. By taking the time to journal, you're not just reducing anxiety, you're creating a space for self-reflection, growth, and understanding. And who knows, you might just find that the answers you've been searching for have been within you all along. When was the last time you paused to truly feel grateful? Not just a quick thanks before a meal or a passing thought, but a deep, heartfelt appreciation for something in your life. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in what's missing, what we don't have, what we haven't achieved, or what we're striving for next. but the Stoics believed that gratitude is one of the most powerful tools we have to shift our perspective and reduce anxiety. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." In other words, true wealth isn't about having everything, it's about appreciating what you already have. Gratitude works because it redirects your focus. Instead of dwelling on what's lacking, you train your mind to notice what's abundant. This shift doesn't just make you feel better in the moment, it rewires your brain over time to see opportunities instead of obstacles and blessings instead of burdens. Think about it, when you're anxious, your mind tends to fixate on worst-case scenarios. But when you practice gratitude, you're reminding yourself of the good that already exists in your life. It's like shining a light in a dark room. Suddenly, the shadows don't seem so overwhelming. Here's a simple way to incorporate gratitude into your daily routine. Each night, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're thankful for. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. Maybe it's the warmth of your bed, a kind word from a friend, or even the fact that you made it through a tough day. The act of writing them down forces you to slow down and really reflect, turning fleeting thoughts into tangible reminders of what's good in your life. Over time, this practice can transform the way you see the world and yourself. Let's make this real with an example. Imagine you've had a rough day at work. Everything seemed to go wrong and you're feeling drained and frustrated. But before you go to bed, you sit down and write your 3 things. You're grateful for the colleague who offered to help, the delicious lunch you had, and the fact that you have a job that challenges you to grow. Suddenly, the day doesn't feel like a total loss. You've found the silver linings, and that small act of gratitude helps you let go of the stress and sleep a little easier. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you often overlook but are truly grateful for? It could be something as simple as the sound of birds in the morning, the smell of fresh coffee, or the fact that you have people in your life who care about you. By practicing gratitude, you're not just reducing anxiety, you're cultivating a mindset of abundance, one small moment of appreciation at a time, and that's a gift that keeps on giving. Life is full of changes, some we welcome, and others we resist with every fiber of our being. But what if the key to reducing anxiety lies not in fighting change, but in embracing it? This is the heart of the Stoic practice of accepting impermanence. The Stoics understood that everything in life is temporary: our jobs, our relationships, even our own lives. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." By accepting this truth, we can free ourselves from the fear of loss and the anxiety of uncertainty. Let's bring this to life with an example. Imagine you've just lost your job. It's a devastating blow, and your mind races with questions. How will I pay the bills? What will people think? What if I never find another job? These thoughts are natural, but they also trap you in a cycle of fear and worry. Now consider this. What if, instead of resisting the change, you accepted it as part of life's natural ebb and flow? This doesn't mean you have to like it or pretend it doesn't hurt. It simply means acknowledging that change is inevitable and that you have the strength to adapt and move forward. Accepting impermanence works because it shifts your perspective. When you stop clinging to how things should be and start embracing how they are, you take away the power of fear. You begin to see that even the most painful changes can lead to growth and new opportunities. Think about it, every ending is also a beginning. Losing a job might open the door to a career you're more passionate about. The end of a relationship might teach you something important about yourself and what you truly need. By accepting impermanence, you're not just reducing anxiety, you're opening yourself up to the possibilities that change can bring. Here's a reflective exercise to help you practice this. Take a moment to write about a past loss or change that was difficult for you. It could be the end of a relationship, the loss of a loved one, or even a missed opportunity. As you write, focus not just on the pain, but on what you learned from the experience. How did it shape you? What strengths did you discover in yourself? By reflecting on past changes, you're reminding yourself that you've survived them before, and you can do it again. So here's a question to carry with you. What's one change in your life that you've struggled to accept? Maybe it's a recent setback, or perhaps it's something from your past that still weighs on you. By acknowledging it and reflecting on it, you're taking the first step toward letting go of the fear and anxiety that come with resisting change. And in doing so, you're not just finding peace, you're reclaiming your power to thrive in an ever-changing world. We've journeyed through 20 powerful Stoic techniques to reduce anxiety, each one a timeless tool designed to help you reclaim your peace of mind. From the Dichotomy of Control, which teaches us to focus only on what we can influence, to negative visualization, which prepares us for life's uncertainties, these practices aren't just ancient wisdom. They're practical, actionable steps you can start using today. Whether it's grounding yourself in the present moment, embracing discomfort to build resilience, or reflecting on your day to foster growth, Stoicism offers a roadmap to navigate life's challenges with clarity and calm. What makes these techniques so effective is their immediacy. You don't need years of study or a complete lifestyle overhaul to see results. Even small shifts, like pausing to label your emotions or taking a moment to journal, can have a profound impact on how you experience stress and uncertainty. The Stoics didn't just theorize about inner peace. They lived it, and their teachings continue to resonate because they address the universal struggles we all face. As Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." These techniques are your toolkit for self-mastery, helping you take control of your thoughts and emotions, no matter what life throws your way. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one technique from today's video and try it out. Maybe it's practicing gratitude before bed, or perhaps it's taking a few minutes each morning to prepare for the day ahead. Whatever you choose, take a moment afterward to reflect on how it made you feel. Did it bring you a sense of calm? Did it help you see a situation differently? These small experiments are the first steps toward building a life of resilience and peace. If you found these Stoic tools helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on how to live a calmer, more intentional life. And I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite technique from today's video? Drop a comment below and share how it's helped you. Remember, the journey to inner peace begins with a single step. Take that step today and let Stoicism guide you toward a life of clarity, strength, and calm.